Shallow.
Hey, bud.
Hey, bud. Scoresburg podcast.
Woo!
We got AFC predictions by Troy and L. Jackson. This is going to be everything from division status, conference finals. Then next epi, we're going to have NFC, everything in the divisions, and then also conference. And what, we got potential Super Bowl predictor? Is that cocky? How far are we going?
At this point,
Okay.
I know the big network heads always love to put out their way too early Super Bowl predictions. Everyone's loving the Chiefs, loving the Lions, loving the Niners. There's no originality there, and honestly, one catastrophic injury to any of those teams can alter that course. So it's definitely way too early to tell, but I don't know. What do I know? I'm just a guy sitting in your kitchen recording.
Absolutely. But hey, I feel like you always have some in-depth analysis, and I feel like this year is just that much more amped up because we're actually got physical recording. But I'm always asking Troy now about what's going on with the NFL season, and usually we're just chatting at hooligans or whatever. But now we got the mics, and now the people want to know the picks.
I mean, I don't want to toot my own horn, but I do feel like my predictions have been at least over 50% over the last few years.
That is slick. I mean, dude, when you called that Super Bowl championship score by the exact score, whatever that was last Super Bowl, you said. Yeah, dude, you literally predicted exact score, whatever it was, 38-35 or 37-35, and they Chiefs hoisted. I was stunned, but I don't know. So, yeah, we'll just get right into it and start with AFC East. Who's your boys and what's going on with that division? Is the teams coming back the same look, or has there been a lot of trades? Also, for a side note, I don't know a ton of NFL stuff. I know your main quarterbacks and the teams that have been good, but I don't know like a ton of roster breakdown. And that's why we got Troy Nell on here, and he'll be able to supply all of that inside access that I know some of the people listening know more football stuff. He'll be able to deliver. Just guiding the way and putting in my 2 cents of just how the team has performed over the last couple years, because it's just intriguing to see what he has changing up from year to year. And I mean, I see Jets in this division, and the Rodgers, I don't know, or are they going to be, you got them up there, you got them crushed. What's going on with this division?
Well, it's funny that you mentioned the Jets, because they are the team that I do have winning the East.
What the?
Yeah, assuming Rodgers goes more than 4 plays and tears his Achilles, this should be a pretty dangerous offense, all things considered. I mean, there's a big red flag at their offensive coordinator position, Nathaniel Hackett. He could not hack it as a head coach in Denver. Ha ha ha. But his time in New York also has been rather lackluster. Granted, he had to go most of all last year without Aaron Rodgers under center. Zach Wilson, quarterback for the Jets last year, not a good NFL quarterback. I would argue he's not even a good NFL backup. But
definitely.
But with a healthy Rodgers throwing to Garrett Wilson, who could have finally his breakout season that he's waited 3 years for, a running game that is devastating, with Breece Hall leading that backfield, it's a dangerous offense on paper, and we'll see on their Monday night kickoff just how dangerous they can be. I think that the Jets, the record I have them going, it's only 10-7. And
10-7 for division champs.
I think that's enough to win the division.
Wow.
Last year we had 2 teams battling it out at 11-6, the Bills and the Dolphins.
Yeah.
And frankly, I think this division at the top with the Bills, Dolphins, and Jets, and I put the Bills in there just because they were the division champs last year. You'll find out where I've got them in just a minute. But I feel like they're going to kind of cannibalize each other a little bit. I feel like Jets, despite having a pretty bad record last year, have a pretty tough schedule this year. But all things considered, their defense is still very strong. The offense should be much improved. They improved their offensive line. They made some additions at offensive tackle positions. So hopefully their quarterbacks are not getting absolutely murdered every single game.
Yeah.
Maybe they have some time to actually make a throw.
Yeah, that would be a plus.
Yeah, so the Jets I have as 10-7, winning the East, and little foreshadowing there.
Yeah.
At 10-7, they lock up the 4 seed in the playoffs. In my projection.
Okay. That's pretty slick. Yeah, I'm still intrigued to hear a little bit about the Bills and even the Patriots. So was last season the first year without Belichick, or is this season going to be the first?
This is the first season post-Belichick.
Okay,
this is with new head coach Gerard Mayo, former Patriot player himself. He's been on the coaching staff for a while.
Yeah.
And that's a big change after 20-plus years.
Yeah, what's your thoughts on him being done? Are you stoked? Are you heated?
I'm neither stoked nor heated. I think it was time.
Okay.
I mean, after Tom Brady left and went to Tampa, won his Super Bowl in his first year there.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say that Brady was what won that Super Bowl, because he was pretty much the only difference was you weren't turning the ball over 30 times in the season at the quarterback position like Jameis Winston did the year before he got there. Jameis Winston, before Brady got there, threw for 5,000 yards and 30 touchdowns, but 30 interceptions. The only player to be in the 30 and 30 club.
No,
and
that's brutal.
It's very brutal. But let's not act like that wasn't a team that was ready to win. Brady was the piece that put them over the top, yes, but they had a great coach in Bruce Arians, who was a mastermind of offense. Mike Evans, Mr. 1,000 yards without fail. He's a reliable target. He always has been, and he will be until the day he retires. But we're not here to talk about the NFC. We're talking the AFC.
Yes.
Patriots, post-Belichick, even in the last few years of Belichick, are not going to be a really good team.
Yeah.
Granted, this year, they have a whole lot more changing than just Belichick. They have a new quarterback. Their offense looks almost unrecognizable. The defense should be decent. They weren't a bad unit last year. They weren't great either. But I think that the Patriots, according to my rankings, my projections, and my predictions, will only go 2-15.
Oh, what this year? They're going for worst record in the league.
I'm going to tell you this: they are not the only team I have at 2-15.
Oh.
I feel like there's going to be a very stark difference in this league between the very bad and the mediocre.
That's legendary. I'm intrigued to hear about these other squads, but we got to focus on Bills here. I'm pretty sure they can't get over the hump of the Chiefs. What's going on with that? Will they? Well, don't talk playoff stuff yet, but is this just a regular season kind of squad, or they have what it takes to finally get over this hump? What are you looking at for this season for them?
I think that this season is a very big retool and reload season.
Definitely.
I think they're going to be competitive in their games, but I don't see them winning a whole lot.
Yeah.
I've got them going only 7-10 this year and missing the playoffs.
Oh, what the heck?
I think that's almost exclusively because of the ridiculous turnover on offense. And I'm not talking turnover as in turning the ball over. I'm saying personnel-wise. They've lost a lot of offensive weapons.
Yeah, wasn't that receiver from the Vikings? Didn't they get...
Stephon Diggs. He was with Minnesota to start his career.
Yeah.
He moved over to the Bills in a trade that netted the Vikings a pick that turned into Justin Jefferson, the best receiver in the league. But we're not here to talk about the NFC. But yeah, the Bills had Diggs for a good few years, and he was an all-star. He was a stud. He was a game winner, a game wrecker. But he started to wear out his welcome with the front office. It was becoming very clear that there was kind of a divide between him and what the offense and what the coordinators saw his role as going forward. Down the stretch last year, he did not play well. He did not have good numbers, at least in comparison to what we've come to expect from Stephon Diggs.
Yeah.
Now, he's gone. He's in Houston, traded away to there. They also lost another wide receiver, Gabe Davis. He's down in Jacksonville. Their receiver room looks like this. Rookie Keon Coleman, Curtis Samuel, who has bounced around from the Panthers to the Commanders, and now he's with now he's with Buffalo. And then Khalil Shakir. Khalil Shakir has not done much. He's not done much. And I don't know why people are expecting him to have a massive breakout. But yeah, this is an offensive unit that's probably going to have to rely heavily on the run game. And they're just not built to really run the ball that well. At least they haven't historically.
Okay, so that leaves our last squad, the Dolphins, which don't they have one poster boy? Wasn't he like Madden cover or something? Or am I thinking Miami flipping MLB status?
I'm frankly not sure. I don't think there's been a Miami player on the cover in some time.
Okay.
But they've got a few poster boys. They've got Tyreek Hill. They've got Jalen Waddle.
Okay, I think it's the Tyreek Hill I'm thinking of.
They've got a two-headed monster of a backfield right now with the old man, Raheem Mostert, and the young gun, the up-and-coming Devon Achane.
Okay.
It's an explosive offense when everyone can stay healthy.
Definitely.
That's kind of going to be the problem, though, because Devon Achane last year, in his rookie year, explosive when he played. That's the key thing. When he played, he only played in a handful of games.
Yeah.
Missed a lot because of injury. Raheem Mostert, being old, the concern is that he falls off the age cliff. He was the league's leading touchdown scorer at the running back position. I'm not sure he's able to repeat that sort of volume, but even if he only goes for half of what he had last year, he's still a very, very good back with a lot of scoring opportunity.
Okay.
And the only thing that really scares me about the Dolphins is their defense. It was hyped up to be more than it ended up being last year, and I'm afraid that's going to be the same situation this year. I have them, based off my predictions, going 9-8 and locking up a wild card spot, the 7 seed to be specific.
Okay.
But yeah, all it takes is one injury, either to Tua or to Tyreek, and the wheels can fall off fast.
Wow, that's some bold predictions coming out of the East. Just Josh Allen, just you fist you. You're not getting in playoffs, and just Patriots. They're contending for worst squad in the league. That's legendary. But I don't know. I'm intrigued to always see new squads in there, and I'm intrigued to even see what Rodgers has. I hope he plays full season. I was actually kind of looking forward to that last year, and I know being here in Packer Nation, people were definitely looking forward to that. So it's going to be cool to be able to see just what they do. And I mean, if they get division, that's fine with me, because I'm tired of seeing the Bills get in there and then just get put down.
I don't know that Packer Nation was waiting to happily watch Rodgers in New York. They were waiting for him to fail.
Yeah, probably, but alrighty. AFC West, the big boys in this one, Chiefs. What do you got going on, or is that all that's going on in this division?
Well, this is a division where not a whole lot of importance is happening. I mean, you got a lot of teams that are going through some pretty big changes. The Raiders and the Chargers changed coaches, so
okay.
Right now, the Chiefs, to nobody's surprise, I have them winning the division, winning it handily, and I have them locking up the 1 seed in the conference at 14-3. They're off to a hot start because they won their opener against Baltimore.
Nice.
I predicted the opposite outcome would happen.
It's fine.
It's fine. It just means that one of the losses I have for them somewhere else is going to be, or rather, one of the wins I have somewhere else for them is going to end up being a loss.
Definitely.
Because my predictions are perfect.
Legendary.
Just kidding. They are not perfect. No one take that seriously.
So does anybody else get you going in this division, team-wise, player-wise? What else is going on here? Is that it?
Chargers.
Okay.
The Los Angeles Chargers. And even though I said only the Chiefs are making it into the playoffs, the Chargers I have as the next best team in the West, finishing with 7-10 record. They've got a new coach, Jim Harbaugh, new offensive coordinator, Greg Roman. He coached over in Baltimore for, I don't know how many years at this point, but he was a big part of Lamar Jackson taking the league by storm. They established a devastating run game during his time there. And I think that what Harbaugh does best is run the ball and establish dominance at the line. They made a lot of moves this offseason to really bolster the line and really boost the running game. They let go of 2 top electric receivers. At least they were electric receivers like 3 years back. Last year they both got dinged up. Keenan Allen, though, was a very solid and reliable target for the Chargers for like the last decade. He was a steady guy, a volume guy, sure hands, Mike Williams, while he had some injury concerns, he was also an explosive playmaker. And they lose both of that. They replace it with they've got a couple guys rolling over from last year. They've got Joshua Palmer at receiver. They've got Quentin Johnston, who everyone seems to think he's a bust right away. I think there's a chance he can bounce back, but it's such a hard hill for him to climb right now because it's not going to be a very pass-heavy offense. It's going to be hard for him to overcome those drops that he had been plagued with in his rookie year. And
brutal.
Their biggest offensive addition in the receiving core, though, was rookie Ladd McConkey. He should be a stud for them. I mean, he probably won't be right out the gate, especially considering this is a team in transition, but I think that they're an exciting team to kind of watch and should be a surprising team for a lot of people.
Okay, that's still kind of crazy that you got them at 7-10, and that's the second best. So, like, how's the rest of the division playing out? They're all under 7 wins?
Yeah, so behind the Chargers, I have the Denver Broncos. Only one win less at 6-11.
Okay.
They're a team that I'm just not sure I trust at this point. I mean, Sean Payton comes in last year, inherits Russell Wilson, inherits a whole lot of underperforming, not so good pieces.
Yeah.
And, it doesn't happen overnight, switching a team from its old identity to its new one. I mean, that's kind of what I was getting at with the Chargers was that, they were a team in change, but they should still be exciting. The Broncos have just been frustrating. Ever since their last playoff appearance.
Tim Tebow.
No. Peyton Manning's Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah, them Rook.
That was
definitely
their last playoff appearance, and they have been wallowing in mediocrity ever since.
Yeah.
I don't think it's changing this year. I'm frankly not sure it's changing with Sean Payton at all.
Definitely, no.
But I will say, they have some absolute studs on defense, mostly Patrick Surtain, a lockdown corner, one of the top 3 in the league. You can really cycle him into any one of those top 3 spots, depending on the week, depending on the year. It's really just take your pick between him, Sauce Gardner, and if you want to, you could throw Trayvon Diggs. Some people do because he's a little too boom or bust in terms of his coverage for me. He'll either get beaten for a long bomb or he'll pick you off. But there's a lot of different people who can go into that number 3 spot if you really want to. So he, for me, definitely falls into one of those top 3 spots. Other than him, though, not a whole lot scares me on that defense right now.
Definitely. And the Raiders, you got dead last.
I do, and I
thought they just had the Packers' former boy. What's going on with him? Does he suck sack now? The receiver,
Devontae Adams.
Yeah,
he is still a good receiver, but he's a good receiver on a bad team, on a bad offense, with not a whole lot of help, especially at the quarterback position. I have the Raiders 2-15.
Oh, no.
Most of that is because of the quarterback position. They're rolling with Gardner Minshew to start the season. I've been a big Gardner Minshew fan. I think he never got a fair shake down in Jacksonville. It felt like they wanted him to lose, and when he wasn't losing, because, I mean, if you look at his career stats, it doesn't look like that of a losing quarterback. His record might not indicate someone that you want to go out and get to lead your team to the promised land, but I think he's a solid quarterback. He's at the very least the kind of guy who could be a bridge quarterback for like 2-3 seasons while you kind of build the rest of your team, get that offensive line strong, develop a run game, build your weapons at receiver. He's the kind of guy that can hold down the fort. He's the kind of guy that has personality and leadership and charisma, but he makes a lot of mistakes. He doesn't make the easy reads, but he's a whole lot better than Aiden O'Connell in my mind, who is their last year rookie. He really just doesn't do it for me. He doesn't tickle anything. It just doesn't seem like he has what it takes to be an NFL quarterback. And there's nothing that holds you back like bad quarterback play.
What happened to Carr? Wasn't he the guy?
In New Orleans.
He traded last season?
He was cut last offseason.
Okay.
Signed with New Orleans and has been in He's there this year again. I don't remember exactly how long his contract is.
Okay.
They did him dirty because Josh McDaniels just destroys everything he touches, which he's no longer the coach. But if he was, I would probably have them at 0-17. I think their interim coach from last year.
Oh, that's paper bag. Okay.
Yeah, the interim coach from last year was Antonio Pierce. He secured the job because he led the team to a decent-ish record comparatively.
Yeah.
8-9, definitely not a bad record by any means, but
yeah,
they definitely weren't show-stopping. They were a team that was rallying around their coach more than anything, and I'm not sure that magic holds over after he got the full-time gig.
Definitely. No, that makes sense. But okay, so Chiefs don't really have that many teams to battle with in there, which is okay. But I mean, this next division, I feel like we got some heavy hitters. I'm even intrigued for just being a generic fan and knowing stuff of the past squads. AFC North. All of these. What was going on with the whole QB thing with the Steelers? And is that flipping dude still the coach that's been the coach for like 20 years? What's going on with this? Wasn't it the battle between the Seahawks guy and the former Bears guy? I don't know names well, but that's why Troy's filling it in. Who won that? I don't even know.
So this year, the Steelers, under the same head coach, Mike Tomlin, who never has finished under 500.
Really?
As the Steelers head coach, he has been 500 or better in every single season he's coached.
What the? That's
so many
pressure.
teams would kill for that kind of consistency, even if it kind of toes the line of mediocrity.
2 decades. That's stunning.
Not 2 decades. Just I think he's been the coach for like 13 years, 14 years.
Okay, so full decade at least.
Yeah, like a decade and a half. But
definitely.
But last year they went 10-7. They had Kenny Pickett as their quarterback last year. That didn't really work out. He was never amounting to be anything. He threw like 11 or 12 touchdowns in his 2 years.
Oh, that's brutal.
Yeah, he got traded over to Philly. He's backing up there. And now at quarterback, they're rolling out Russell Wilson. He's the guy they named their week 1 starter.
Okay.
But no one expects him to be the full season starter. Everyone expects Justin Fields, who came over from the Bears, to at some point take over, which could be week 1 because Russell Wilson is already questionable because he has a calf issue that's been nagging him all through training camp. Well, maybe not all through, but certainly for the last few weeks.
Yeah, okay. So that's intriguing because I just remember seeing that just as I was walking by on the TV at work. They're always battling back and forth. Who's going to get the number 1 gig? And okay, so Russell Wilson got it, but it'll most likely be passed back and forth. But what do you got them at for this season?
I have them at the bottom of the division.
Bottom of the division?
With Mike Tomlin's first losing record at 6.
Oh, right after you pumped his tires, you bury him. That's legendary.
There's only so much a coach can do to overcome very bad offense, and he did so much to overcome bad offense last year. I'd argue that their offense is worse this year, especially since they really didn't improve at their coordinator. Their offensive coordinator went to Matt Canada last year, who everyone wanted fired in Pittsburgh for the last 2 years.
Definitely.
But Pittsburgh doesn't fire coaches or coordinators. They made an exception. They booted him. And now they've got the former Atlanta Falcons head coach, Arthur Smith, as their offensive coordinator. And Arthur Smith, during his 3 years in Atlanta, not a good utilizer of talent. He had so much talent at his disposal there. He could not properly use it, could not break outside of like a 7-9 record, 7-10 records, and just was real mediocre. And maybe he's a better coordinator than he is a coach. Maybe being a head coach put too much on his plate and he didn't properly have the sort of time or maybe even the skills of just kind of passing on responsibilities on that offensive side to his coordinators and other position coaches. Mm-hmm. But I think that there's too much detriment on that offensive side that no matter how good the defense is, I just don't have them above 500. I have them at 6-11.
Okay. Well, I guess, the 3 other squads are pretty heavy. And I mean, Bengals going to have healthy LSU boy? Is he going to be in there? What's going on with the Bengals?
Well, I I do think they're going to have a pretty healthy year from Joe Burrow. I mean, if you kind of look at his career so far, it's been injury year, followed by healthy year, followed by injury year.
Wow, yeah.
Healthy year.
That is true. Didn't even see that. Yeah.
And the only real question I have there is Jamar Chase going to be playing at his full capability? He's been holding out for a new contract. He's still under contract for this year and next year. He's just eligible for that extension. He wants his money. I want to believe that the connection that him and Burrow have is strong enough that he doesn't have to be out on that practice field every day. He doesn't have to be a full participant. He doesn't have to be involved at the facility. I want to believe that he's making sure he's staying in game shape, that he's, still crisp with his routes. I mean, when he was a rookie, there was a lot of concern because in his camp, he was having trouble catching the ball. Then he had his amazing rookie season and shut everyone up. So I think that it's going to be a great offensive year for them. They really only lost two key parts of that offense, and you can use key very loosely there. Tyler Boyd, one of their three receivers, the oldest of their three receivers, is now with Tennessee Titans, and Joe Mixon, their running back, who everyone thought they were going to cut loose last year, is down with the Houston Texans.
Definitely. So trimming some weeds, but still looking solid. What do you got for them for record and where they landing in division?
So I have the Bengals second in the division.
Okay.
With a 13-4 record.
Whoa, that's up there for second.
It is.
Okay.
Wait till you hear what first and third are.
Okay, I feel like Ravens will be number one, but hold off. Let's get Browns action in there because, I know that they've been kind of on the uprise. They just always get put down in playoffs, but that's classic Cleveland. What's going on with the Browns? Are they looking good? Are they missing? Where are we at?
Well, do you want me to start you off with their record and spot in the division?
Heck yeah. Let's lead with that.
I have them winning the division.
You got them winning the division.
At 14-3.
Oh!
I have them as the second seed.
Second seed. So they're that good. What's the improvements? Have they been progressing and I'm just out the line?
I don't know so much that it's progressions as much as it is they've shown their resilience over the last few years. Okay. They signed, after trading for Deshaun Watson a few years back, they signed him to a massive deal that secured him through the next few years, $230 million contract, and he has not lived up to it. He was hurt. He was, not himself when he was playing, and they ended up having to bring in Joe Flacco last year to kind of finish out the season and lead them into a playoff game.
Definitely.
If they're able to get that out of Flacco, I think that what they've got in backups now with Jameis Winston, who, as we mentioned earlier, was a 5,000-yard quarterback, but he was also a 30-for-30 quarterback. 30 touchdowns, 30 picks.
That's tough.
But since that season, he has gotten corrective eye surgery. Apparently, he was playing nearly blind.
Oh, what? That's intense.
It is, but granted, since then, he has not played great football. He has played Jameis Winston football, which is exciting.
Definitely
something that sometimes looks like a car wreck, sometimes looks like a drag race. You never know what you're going to get, but the offense for the Browns is it's so balanced. The running game is strong, even without Nick Chubb, who had a pretty nasty leg injury last year. But their backfield right now actually looks pretty good. They're rolling with Jerome Ford and, if I'm not mistaken, Dante Foreman, two backs that should have a role. I am really high on the receiver group, even though I don't trust a couple of the pieces entirely. I trust more in Kevin Stefanski's head coach and offensive capabilities. He was a former coordinator for the Minnesota Vikings, has been the head coach in Cleveland for a good few years. He's probably been their longest tenured head coach this century.
Okay, that's nice. Yeah.
I don't know the accuracy behind that 100%, but it feels right because he's been there for like 5-6 years.
Yeah, no, that is solid, and it's just, I don't know, overall.
Plus the defense is just very scary.
It's kind of cool just seeing the Browns doing what they're doing just because of just having so many years of pain. So I'm intrigued.
Let's not. They have sucked sack since they came back into the league.
Yeah, that is true. They definitely been bottom of the barrel for sure. But I don't know. I'm intrigued that you got them listed that high in the division. But at the same time, how do you have them listed that high when you got Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, Ravens status? What's going on with that? Is there going to be like an ego thing between the two? Because I almost feel like Lamar Jackson he passes to himself. You saw in the playoffs, he passes it and runs the ball. He's the new Vic, but he's got Henry to be able to hand it off to. So, like, what is that looking like? Is this an all-star team? What's going on?
So Baltimore, I think, really benefits by adding Derrick Henry. I think that's the best improvement they could make. Offensively, that's really the only change they made. They lost 2 running backs and gained Henry. They lost Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins, both with the Chargers now. And they drafted a receiver who's not really going to see too much action. They've got Zay Flowers, who was a good, strong rookie last year. They're still running with Rashad Bateman for some reason, despite lackluster performances in every season. He's also just not been able to stay healthy. It's kind of tricky because what we expected to see last year with a new offensive coordinator who wasn't as run heavy, we didn't see this shift into a more pass heavy scheme. What it was ending up being was more of a less designed runs for Lamar and more just freedom to scramble, which is probably a more effective way to use him because then it allows you to kind of force the defenses to play more honestly. Because if you have him dropping back and you don't know whether he's going to tuck it and run or if he's going to dart it up to either Isaiah Likely or Mark Andrews, 2 stud tight ends, it gives that offense an unpredictability. But what we saw in the opener last night, I originally had them beating the Chiefs, and they almost pulled off a comeback. They were down for pretty much the whole game. And with the last drive, Lamar throws the pass after bobbing and weaving around that pocket, avoiding Chiefs monster Chris Jones, who for some reason was only being guarded by a running back. They stuck a running back to block him. That is
nice.
But
that is prime.
But he's got that pocket presence. He's maneuvered. And he strikes Isaiah Likely at the back of the end zone, but just a toe out of bounds.
Ah, that's brutal.
Yeah, and they were lining up to go for 2 before the play was overturned. So they were going for the win.
Definitely.
But we saw an issue that happened similar to the playoff game last year against the Chiefs.
Yeah.
They started off the game leaning into the run, but they had no running lanes. The inside was impenetrable. As the game went on, they started running a little bit more outside runs and had some more success there. But then they really started to just throw a lot of screens, a lot of short stuff, and the Chiefs were just swarming. And maybe it was just the Chiefs because they have a really good pass rush, and they scheme Mark Andrews out of the offense. Like the last 5 games they've played, they just eliminate him as a threat. They were double covering him, even triple covering him sometimes last night.
Definitely. Okay, so basically rounding out the AFC North, Browns.
I didn't give you my record.
Yeah, record. What's going on with the Ravens?
I have them at 13-4 also.
Okay,
with
wow.
Bengals taking the 5th seed and the Ravens taking the 6th.
Okay, so 3 teams coming out of there.
3 strong teams.
Yeah, they're all 13 wins or higher. That's crazy.
It is, and it's probably not going to happen.
But that's fine. That's why we're here. We enjoy the bold predictions.
I'm never wrong.
And I'm intrigued to just see what ends up happening. But that moves to the last division in AFC status, AFC South. I don't know. From the looks at what this is last year, it looks like it's fairly weak. But what's going on with this division?
Well, not a whole lot is changing in terms of what I've predicted versus last year.
Yeah.
I'll just kind of run through it quickly. The Titans I have going 6-11, the same as they went last year.
Yeah.
I have the Colts going 7-10, a little bit worse than last year, but I'm doing that mostly because I'm not sure I trust Anthony Richardson as a quarterback yet. He's a dynamic runner, but I'm not sure I trust his passing ability yet. That hasn't been something that I've been sold on. Granted, he missed most of last year. He played in 4 games, only finished 2, and had a shoulder injury that knocked him out of the season. So he didn't really have much time to progress and grow as a thrower.
Yeah.
I'm just concerned that that's hurting him going forward.
Definitely.
When it
that
comes
makes
to the
sense.
Jaguars, I have them at their same record as well, 9-8.
Okay.
I think what we saw last year, year 2 of Doug Peterson, year 3 of Trevor Lawrence, granted, he was a little bit banged up and dinged up, but that's football. It's a physical sport. No sport is without injury, let alone one where you're essentially getting into car crashes every game. If that's the floor, what we saw the year before was the ceiling, and that was 11 wins. I don't know that they've made any changes that meaningfully propel them up a year. Oh, wait, no? Is that the same record 2 years ago as last year?
Yeah.
So I've got them at a consistent rate. I think they just are who they are.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's a bad thing. If it wasn't for such a strong North, they would probably sneak into the playoffs.
Yeah, no, definitely. Well, last year they missed, but the year before they got in and then put down first round.
So last year it was a vicious race at the end with the Texans.
Definitely.
There were things that needed to go right for them, including winning their last game, which they did not.
Yeah.
The Texans got hot. They have a young stud quarterback. They've got a star-packed receiving room with Nico Collins and Tank Dell. CJ Stroud at quarterback is just going to have a field day in year 2. I have the Texans at 13-4.
Oh, another strong squad. AFC. Oh, what the?
I think this is going to be a very top-heavy. Good teams, the mediocre teams, and the bad teams. I think they're all going to be in very clear-cut, separate tiers of each other.
Okay, so rounding out, what's the 7 playoff teams? And do you want to predict further than that, or do you not even have any more predictions?
I think I can give you some conference final prediction.
Okay, that's what the fans want. So appreciate that. Give us the 7 squads, and then yeah, we could get those conference finals in there.
So at the 1 seed, with a 14-3 record, we have the Kansas City Chiefs.
Okay.
At the 2 seed, with a 14-3 record again, and I did run through my predictions just to make sure that any tiebreakers were factored in, and the Browns come away with it at 14-3.
Nice.
2nd seed, the Texans at 13-4. Have the 3rd seed.
Okay.
And the Jets at 10-7 walk away with the 4th seed.
Yeah.
The wildcard teams, we've got 2 very strong ones that could be division winners.
13-3 squads.
13-4 for the Bengals and Ravens. 5-6 respectively seeded. And then the Miami Dolphins at 9-8 secure the 7th seed. I will admit I did not go through and figure out what the tiebreakers would have been between the Dolphins and the Jags, because they both finished in my predictions with a 9-8 record. But depending on how that played out, it could have been the Jags instead, but we kind of touched on that.
Yeah. I like the picks of teams in there. Feel like got a couple new ones. Let's talk conference. Is it going to be the classic Chiefs? And also, I'm surprised you have the Chiefs with such a good regular season record, because I feel like they just don't really try during the regular season and just turn it on. And you think they're trying to avoid doing that this season and trying to play a more even season and not just turn it on for playoffs.
Well, that's the thing. They don't try. But this year, the Chiefs, they're just better than they were last year. Yeah. Last year, they were really good. They repeated as champions. I don't see a reason that they're not going to make it back to the conference championship this year.
Yeah.
I'd be foolish to say that they have no chance of going to the Super Bowl. They have every chance imaginable. But I think that in order for them to get there, they're going to have to put down the Houston Texans in the conference championship.
Houston is coming in there.
I think they're making a big leap from year 1 to year 2 of CJ Stroud and head coach DeMeco Ryans. They have a lot of returning important pieces, especially with offensive coordinator Ben Skoranek. He could have, I'm pretty sure that was the name pronunciation. I'm not 100% sure. Could be very wrong. But
it's okay.
But a returning coordinator, adding pieces instead of losing them on offense, I don't see how this team takes a step back. I see them only going forward.
Okay, that's pretty. I did not see Texans in there, but hey, I'll take that. I'm intrigued. Got the Chiefs, Texans, AFC Championship. We'll be chatting throughout the season here on how this stuff is lining up, but I'm definitely pumped to just see how these squads line up. But I don't know. I feel like as far as AFC, that's basically, I feel like we almost broke down every single squad except for the AFC South, but I still feel like you touched on a good amount of squads. Is there anything else that you wanted to chat about AFC status? Or
not really. I mean, the only thing I think I really could go more on would be the Texans. I just love that team. They're probably my AFC team for the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
They kind of have been in the past, mostly because of Madden related reasons. A lot of times that I would play the game, I would end up as the quarterback down there. This was before Deshaun Watson had his little bit of success there.
Yeah.
And it was always fun to just take that team and make them the true team of Texas instead of the Dallas Cowboys, because why?
That is true. No, I remember I would always rock them in Madden too. They had like the Johnson receiver that I would always bomb it to. Yeah, he was prime and always had the speed too. But no, I mean, I would be fine with seeing them taking over the state of Texas, because the Cowboys, they ain't America's team. No, that would be legendary.
Texas's team anymore.
No, without a doubt. But dude, that's a solid breakdown. I enjoy that. I feel like that basically concludes AFC status, and we'll hit you with the next one with NFC. But until then, be